This is a statement.
Mm-hmm.
A finale is not always the best song, but it's always the last.
Hmm.
I want to talk about concerts now, but I won't. Okay, the father and his troubadours. Now here we go in. Get ready, because we're going to kind of go back. The father and his troubadour sat down upon the outer rim of space. And here, my singer, said Earthmaker, is the crown of all my endless skies, the green-brown sphere of all my hopes. And he reached and he took the round new planet down and held it to his ear. They're crying, troubadour, he said. They cry so hopelessly. He gave the little ball unto his son, who also held it by his ear. Year after weary year, they all kept crying. They seemed born to weep, then die. Our new man taught them crying in the fall. It's talking about Adam.
Wow.
It is a peaceless globe. Some are sincere in desperate desire to see her freed of all her absurdity. But war is here. Men die in conflict, bathed in blood and greed. Then with his nail, his fingernail, his nail, he scraped the atmosphere, and both of them beheld the planet bleed. Earthmaker set Earth spinning on its way and said, "Give me your vast infinity, my son. I'll wrap it in a bit of clay. Then enter Terra microscopically and love the little souls who weep away." That one gets me right there.
Wow. Whoa. Whoa. Read that little again.
What he's doing, he's telling Jesus he's going to send him down to earth.
Yeah. It's just such a beautiful way to say it. Okay.
Give me your vast infinity, my son. I'll wrap it in a bit of clay. Then enter terra microscopically to love the little souls who weep away their lives. I will, I said, set Terra free. So Jesus, he's willing to come. Hey.
Mm.
And then I fell asleep and all awareness fled and felt my very being shrinking down. My vastness ebbed away. In dwindling dread, all size decayed.
Mm.
The universe around drew back. I woke upon a tiny bed of straw in one of Terra's smaller towns.
Mm.
And now the great reduction has begun. Earthmaker and his troubadour are one. And here's the new redeeming melody, the only song that can set Terra free.
Mm.
The shrine of older days must be laid by. Mankind must see Earthmaker left the sky and he is with us. And they must concede that I am he. And they must believe the song or die.
Mm. I love it. Calls it the Great Reduction.
It's really, his words are just so,
Earthmaker and his troubadour are one. And here's the new redeeming melody. The only song that can set Terra free. I guess Terra's the earth,
yes, yes, yes.
right? Wow.
Mankind must see Earthmaker left the sky, and he is with us. And they must concede that I am he. They must believe the song or die.
Wow. Want to expound on that any?
My brain is just exploding. It's just so cool. They're sitting, God and Jesus are sitting there looking at the earth, and then he chooses to be whittled down to be in the womb of a woman, to be born in a manger. Anyway,
Shrinking down. He fell asleep and all awareness fled. He felt, I've never really thought about what that was like. It's like he didn't.
No, I never have either. I think this is amazing.
He was there with his father in this
Vastness
that
creation.
they live in. And I love that the earth is just a little ball they put up to their ear, like we do those conch shells.
Yeah.
They hear the cries, we hear the ocean. And he's like, yeah, you're the solution for those.
Yeah.
But just that he was there, and then next thing you know, he was laying on a tiny bed in a whole completely different universe, with the eyes of a human. I can't imagine what that was like. It's like he had to grow and learn. His neurons had to grow. His awareness had to grow. His brain had to develop as they do. His personality had to develop, everything. I wonder what that was like for God the Father to watch. Well, also, not only was he just watching it, because it's really hard to not separate them. They're separate, but they're one. He was actually experiencing it too through the Son, right?
Right. Absolutely. That's the reason it says the Earthmaker and the Son are one.
Right. Love it. I love it. This just really makes you consider a lot of the aspects of the story we've gotten so familiar with, right?
And this makes you get a taste of the sacrifice that he performed from being God over the whole universe to being a little baby in a manger. Wow. And he did it because he heard me cry.
Yeah, he did. He heard you cry.
Yeah.
And he made a vow. I'm going to wipe away those tears. Right.
Yep.
I'm glad he came.
Me too. There's an entirely different thought, just not having to do with anything except that you said he wipes away our tears. I had to go get a CAT scan at UAB Highlands again the other day. To be in that hospital, of course, it's so different.
The hospital, right?
Where my dad died. That's where my dad died. And it's altogether different. We went to the wrong entrance. I went to the entrance where we used to go when Daddy was there. And the last time several years ago, I went there for the same thing, and they let us go through that entrance. It's the ER entrance, but this time there was no way they were not going to let us, and they told us to go around to the main entrance of the hospital now. But just something about being in that hospital has a rattling effect on me. I went down to see if that waiting room was still there, and no, that's part of the ER now. It's totally gone.
Wow.
That's not there anymore.
Mm.
But those are tears of mine that Jesus had to wipe away years
Yes,
ago, and still, you know.
yes, right. Wow. So on that topic, Besser Vander Kolk, is that his name? Wrote the book, The Body Keeps the Score. Very, very,
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, just being in the building.
your body has stored
I just,
the memory
wow.
of it, and your body remembers. In fact, the body is actually a better rememberer than our brain.
I'm telling you, it's, I don't know. I can't even describe, but I knew I was in the hospital where my father died. And this week I found a thing on Facebook that said something about, just I wish I could remember the whole thing, but it said something about if your parent goes in a hospital and comes out, be glad because mine went in and never came out. And I found that this week, and it just like,
Wow. Wow. Yeah. If y'all haven't heard that story or been familiar with it, go back to some of the where she shares this, where Judy shares her stories, and
I'll
you'll
see
hear.
if I can find that post. It was just,
Yeah. Well, because he left, I love how he said, "I'll wrap you in clay," which is what he made Adam out of. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, um, I'll wrap it in a bit of clay and enter the terra. Enter the earth microscopically to love the little souls who weep away. Oh my gosh, that's the little 16-year-old you in the waiting room right there.
Yep.
The little soul who weeps
Little
away
soul.
their lives. I will, he said, set Judith free.
I can't find it, but when I read that, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. In the week of when I had gone, I see this post on Facebook, and I just like, you've got to be kidding me.
It must have been something. Do you remember where you felt it in your body? Did you feel shaky?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Okay.
I really can't. Um, it's more like an internal kind of, like your whole inside shaking, you know. And I was getting hassle from the people there because I have to take
All those shots.
prednisone and Benadryl because of a reaction to contrast dye.
Right.
And my doctor that knows me better than anybody in the world has prescribed the amount of medicine that I get, and it's not the normal protocol. And see, this was a different hospital, so
Yeah.
I had to go through all that again. And the radiologist comes out and said, "Well, I don't think you really had a reaction to contrast dye."
Oh my goodness. Why did they?
And,
Oh my goodness.
and I said, oh. And then she left it. But the little guy the phlebotomist, I said, the doctor that I've had since 2002, when I nearly died of anaphylactic shock. He has two thick folders on me. He knows my body and what it reacts to better than anybody in the world. And I said, and I can tell you, y'all not going to talk him out of me doing this every time I come in. So but I go through that
every time.
over and over. Mm.
Right. But of
But
course,
but I did what I was
you have
supposed
to
to do
be
and
unique.
didn't have a reaction to contrast diet. Yes, and that's what we want. That's the that's the result we want.
Bless you. Okay. This is I think this is a good place to wrap up, and then we can go ahead and read the other one and save it because the other one's pretty long. Looking at the time, the other chapter is pretty long, so we can do that, but that'll be a different posting for this.
Yeah.
That sound okay? So we will
great.
sign off and say goodbye to everybody right here.
Adios amigos.
And okay, so here we are. Chapter
We are.
18. Chapter 18. We just read about how God the
Jesus
Father and
coming
Jesus the Son arranged for him to come to earth and be
to
born,
dry the tears of his little soul.
to dry the tears of his little souls. Love it. Okay. Chapter 18.
Vengeance is a noun. I love this because I was an English teacher. I
Uh-huh.
love it. It just literally says vengeance, noun. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, a fair, satisfying, and rapid way to a sightless, toothless
Toothless
world.
world.
Is that funny?
It's pretty
It's
funny.
funny. A fair and satisfying and rapid way to a sightless, toothless world.
I like that it's satisfying too.
Yes,
There's people whose eyes you
and
want to punch
fair
out.
and fair. Oh, mercy. And then we have mercy, which is a noun. The infrequent art of turning thumbs up on an old antagonist at the end of one's rapier. And I don't know, maybe they do that. Thumbs up. I'm not familiar with
That,
fencing.
you know, I'm just getting this from media, but what was it when they would go into the arenas and fight?
Gladiator?
Yeah, the gladiators.
Okay.
That's what they would do. Or the who was it?
The
Thumbs up
emperor would give them a thumbs up or a
or
thumbs
thumbs
down.
down. That's the image that I'm getting.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
A sightless tooth. Hilarious. Okay, I gotta get in my.
That's what it would look like if you and I were in charge.
That's true. Absolutely. All right, I gotta get my mind in focus here because Satan's gonna do a lot of talking here, I think.
Okay.
Liar, cried the keepers of the ancient ways when he had finished with his song. We've kept this shrine for many years as our fathers did before us. Earthmaker loves the shrine he gave us. He will meet us here forever. No, cried the singer, please believe the song. Earthmaker will never again meet men within this holy square. Liar, they cried again. Strike him on the mouth. A bearded monk who only lately read the liturgy laid aside his scroll and struck the singer on the mouth, and the blood ran down his chin. Listen, men of terror, cried the grand musician, he sings a lie. Earthmaker loves the shrine. He has loved it for 1,000 holidays. The singer stumbled to his feet and cried above the crowd, Earthmaker loves neither shrines nor holidays. He loves only men. Life is the song and not the shrine.
Mm.
Another keeper of the ancient ways laid aside his incense and his holy book and struck him in the face. I think it's very interesting. See, he laid aside his incense and his holy book and then kaboom, struck him in the face. He fell once more. The madman who had lately sung in joy the great Halana chorus was bewildered by this furious turn of circumstance. When they struck the singer the second time, he rushed upon the keepers of the ancient ways. He attacked them with such fury that they fell away in fright. Then suddenly a sentinel struck him from behind and sent him sprawling into the dust, unconscious. In a moment, they had clamped him securely in the irons. Listen, cried a voice above the tumult of the moment. The singer knew this voice. It was the world hater masquerading as the keeper of the ancient ways. He wore the mask of those who led in worship at the shrine. Listen, he said again, this man in irons is mad. For years he hung in chains and quite away from here that he might hurt until today. The singer freed him to attack and hoped that he might injure the keepers of the ancient ways. Look at him, said the masquerading world hater, pointing to the singer. Does he appear a holy singer? Where is his prayer book and candle? If he had come to worship, would he not have brought along a scroll of ancient truth? If his song is from the Father's Spirit, why did it not come to us through the grand musician? He wears no robe. He has no beard like other holy men. Where is his pointed hat? He was but a tradesman in the northern hills. He never studied music like the grand musician. Is it reasonable to suppose that God would give a tradesman a song that he withheld from those who keep his very shrine? The grand musician rose and sang, infirmly at the first, but gaining confidence. He sang the anthem of the great shrine. Blessed be thou, O earth maker, lover of the ancient days. May we adore the ancient truths and walk only on the ancient ways. This right here is scary.
It's very scary.
Gradually, the crowd began to join the great musician. Keep thy shrine a sacred place for the practice of the timeless lore of ancient holy people who taught us grand traditions we adore. Taught them grand tradition. Finally, from the habit of their worship, all the crowd rose up to sing the songless melody they had learned from the generations who had left them with the weariness of worship. Blessed art thou, O earth maker, help of hours and ages past. Keep thy holy shrine forever, never changing truth thou hast. Long live earth maker, cried a gray beard keeper of the ancient ways. Long live earth maker, he replied, and long live the shrine of older life. And all of them called out together, long live earth maker, long live the shrine of the older life. What shall we do, O grand musician, with the liar who hates the shrine of older life? Cried the hater still in masquerade. This is a really tough chapter, so get ready. We shall smash his lyre, and before he could name the sentence, the small bent man made his way to the steps of the shrine. It was the miller with the injured hand. May I speak before you pass the sentence? The miller asked the grand musician. You may, he answered back. I am a miller. My home is by the grain fields of the east. 3 years ago, my hand was crushed in an accident at my own mill. This liar, who calls himself the only troubadour, mocked my crushed deformity and left me screaming in the night.
Wow. Wow.
Have you no pity, singer, for this man? The grand musician asked. He had pity enough for himself. Could have made him whole, the singer said. How can you call yourself Earthmaker's son and have no pity? Earthmaker is merciful and filled with love. He paced the marble stones before the crowd. At length he spoke. Because you had no pity, your hand shall be like his.
Mm.
He thought once more and said, and now I pass the sentence. We shall break his lyre, and then we shall break his hand and set him free.
Mm.
And on the flesh of his forehead we shall burn the word liar, and he shall live beneath his sentence all his life. And so shall the sentence be of anyone who claims to be Earthmaker's son and sings a song which desecrates the shrine. Bring out the block and mallet. The guards obeyed. They placed the singer's hand upon the block and brought the crushing mallet down.
Mm.
The singer winced. The miller walked up to the singer, who gently held his injured hand. Would you like pity from me, singer? He said through his teeth. Here, singer, is the only kind of pity that you know. And he spit into the singer's face and laughed.
Mm.
Madman strained against the chains and was about to rip them free. His struggle ended in futility. He could not look upon the suffering of the only man who knew him sane. He cried to see the spit of hate coursing down the singer's face. Crush his other hand before you set him free, cried someone in the crowd. Teach him through great pain that Earthmaker pities injury. It's true, he must learn how to care, the grand musician cried. Place his other hand upon the block. And once more the mallet fell, and the splintering of tendons shot burning agony throughout the singer's soul. He laid his lyre upon the block and smashed it with the mallet that had fallen twice before. Sing for us, they cried in vengeance. Play and sing, they cried. The grand musician turned his head and sang an ancient hymn while they spit again upon the singer and struck him with their fists. You were going to heal the miller's hand? Cried someone in the crowd. Sing healing to your own.
Mm-hmm.
When the grand musician finished singing all the ancient hymn, he turned back to the singer, who gazed in agony upon his broken hands. Bring the fire and irons, and we shall etch the name upon his face. And they seared the word across his forehead. Liar, liar. The madman held his shaggy face and cried into his hands. His sobbing went unnoticed in the action of the trial. May I now release this false troubadour? The grand musician cried. No, he must die upon the wall. Let him suffer for his lies. Let him hang where everyone will know the nature of his ugly melodies of desecration. Hang him on the great machine of death. Yes, yes, they cried in fevered chanting. Yes, yes, thou great musician. Yes, hang him on the great machine of death.
Wow. This must be the great machine of death. Oh, let me
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
get gallery. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the license he takes to rewrite this in a way, because it makes it fresh. It makes the pain fresh. It makes the anger and the hatred of the crowd fresh, especially of those religious leaders. Oof, right?
On the thing, there is a cross. You
Is
see
there?
the cross?
Yes.
In the middle of
Yeah,
it?
you're right. You're right. This really struck me. It's like it was the world hater masquerading as a keeper of the ancient ways. What scripture, the devil as an angel of light. What is it? Appears.
Right.
Devil
Appears as an angel of light.
light. There it is. He wore the mask of those who led in worship at the shrine. This stuff keeps happening. This stuff keeps happening. It is not old. Even though we know the
Correct.
stories of it.
What did Solomon say in Ecclesiastes?
Nothing new under the sun.
Right. He said, and Brother Bowden, it says, Brother Bowden used to say, it says vanity of vanity, all is vanity, and that what he did a paraphrase, and he said, soap bubbles, all is soap bubbles. Just
He puts on this is why we have to be, like he says, gird up the loins of your minds, be ready. He doesn't come in obvious ways. He comes in very subtle, unobvious ways. He masquerades as someone who can be trusted, someone who's preserving, someone who's speaking truth. This is happening all over the country in these churches. He's masquerading, and a lot of the churches and these leaders are falling like flies. Just found out about another one. It's like, good grief. I'm glad it's happening. It's terrible, but I'm glad it's like it's getting exposed. I'm glad it's getting exposed. I'm not glad it's happening. I'm glad it's getting exposed, because it's rattling us all. It's rattling all believers. Who can you then trust? It's but if you don't know him and you've been utterly dependent on the leaders to instruct you on what life with God looks like, you're in trouble. But not totally, because the Holy Spirit is alive and active, and he will lead you to the truth. He says, I'm the way, the truth. I believe he will lead you to the truth, whoever you are, wherever you are. But it's not an overnight truth, because I continue to keep being led. I mean, when I walked away from the evangelical fundamental church culture that I was in, my thing to God was, show me who you really are. Show me who you really, I still say that. Show me who you really are, and he is. But we're talking like 4 years now. Since that time, I keep getting more revelations. I see a much more gracious and merciful and kind and invitational God, right? And it's beautiful. So I guess the admonition for all of us is to watch out for those who masquerade. I mean, the thing is, you don't know they're masquerading. They seem to appear, but ask questions at any time that your spirit, because I had my spirit asking questions and saying something's not right for 15 years before I acted. Right. Listen to your body, because your body will tell you stuff. Something's not right. Listen to your thoughts and your soul. Something's not right. Ask questions, find out. But again, too, the Rubicon is always, what are the fruits of whoever is leading you, whoever is guiding you as a spiritual leader and as a organization, whether it's parachurch or church or whatever it is. What's the fruit? Is it love? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it patience? Is it kindness? Is it goodness? Is it gentleness? Is it self-control? Is it love? I mean, basically, you can wrap all that up in the word love. Is it love? Yeah. And love in the church cultures I was in, we were to love each other, but we weren't to be too dependent on the love of God. That would be taking advantage of him. And I mean, when you love, here's what I know now. When you love him, you don't want to disobey. You don't want to do those things that are unholy. Or if you do them in your moment of fleshliness, you feel great remorse and want to make restitution, right? That's how it manifests itself. Yeah, I feel like I'm babbling. Your turn.
I had a girl ask me a question yesterday, but I'm trying to see if I can even present this and not. But I was basically asked if you know you're a believer, but then you pull off and go down the wrong path and everything, then, and I think I understood her to say, then does God just, not using these words, does God just reject you? And I said, he loves you. He loves you. He's standing here saying, come on back. Come on back. And if you depend on him, he'll get you back on the path. These people have been through so much, and a lot of it is a result of their own choices, but they've had so many people reject them. And some, I'm not saying, friends and family sometimes have to pull back because
right.
You can't believe,
Right.
you don't know what's true and not.
Right.
But so they see God that way.
Right.
So, I was on this path, but then I went over this way. So then does God just turn his back on me? On me?
That's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about the truth of the gospel is he can't. I mean, if you know your gospel theology, he can't, because he said, there is therefore now no condemnation. It's done.
For them who are in Christ Jesus.
For those who are in Christ Jesus, right. But honestly, there's no condemnation for those who are not in Christ Jesus in this sense. John chapter 3, I remember Addison Hitchcock teaching us this book, and it always struck me. He said, and this is the condemnation, that Jesus came into the world and they did not believe him. Condemnation was not they went their own ways and did their own thing and sinned, blah, blah, blah. It was unbelief. Unbelief is the only thing that condemns a person now.
Absolutely. Yes.
Believers, unbelievers are not condemned for their behavior. They are condemned for unbelief. That's it.
Exactly right. Exactly.
And that, man, that's radical, right? Because we can't help but, look at things and say, well, these acts of evil are unforgivable. They're my daughter and I have been in this little binge watching of the Menendez story, of the boys.
I lived that. I watched their trial.
Yeah.
I lived and ate and drank that thing.
Yeah.
I went through every time they put it on TV, the trial.
But let me tell you, if they're not believers, they will not be sent to hell for what they did. If they go to hell, it will be because they did not believe. And it said it in here too, and it was beautiful. I think that's an important point to make, because people don't really know that. And well, I work with a lot of people who carry a lot of guilt and shame. And it's so inappropriate for a believer to do that. But I understand it's part of our makeup that we judge ourselves very harshly, because we've been judged harshly by the world, and we've had people masquerading, in what, as church leaders, because it said even they're the ones who lead the worship, right? It said he wore the mask of those who led in worship at the shrine. So I just know that this is a truth that many people have not really grasped. And that's why I'm wanting to point it out, because I think it's extremely significant and has a lot of transformational qualities about it, right?
Absolutely. So I'm going to present something very controversial.
Good. Let's get in a debate. Come on.
No.
No.
Talking about people who have committed horrible acts of whatever. And I forgot trying to think of the Bible teacher guy. Anyway, he went into prison and interviewed Bundy. What was Bundy's first name?
Ted.
What?
Ted
Bundy. The guy from I used to have the tape of the interview.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance Ted Bundy will be in heaven.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Right. From the conversation that they had, and how it was a very credible Christian leader. I can't believe I can't remember. Anyway.
I can look it up real quick. Yeah.
I listened to the whole conversation.
Yep.
And I do know, I can tell you this with much more certainty. There was a young woman who was in prison in Texas, and she was and she got amazingly saved. I mean, there was no doubt. She got amazingly saved while she was in prison, She
Uh-huh.
was on death row. She taught Bible studies to the women in the prison. And so some, I think, church leaders tried to get her execution turned back to life imprisonment. I can see her face
Mm,
because I watched this. It's funny how I watched all these things, and
yeah.
it's strange, isn't it? And but the governor would not stay the execution. She had used an axe to kill somebody. And I saw this a video, and I'm sure if I could remember her name, we
Oh,
could
are
fix
you
it.
talking about James Dobson?
James Dobson was the guy who talked to Ted Bundy. Yes.
I actually
And
think Ted
James,
wanted to talk to him.
I
Did he?
can't remember,
I don't
but
remember. Okay.
I do know this. He at that point, James Dobson was a very reliable man, and I that conversation was unbelievable. And by the way, just by the way, Ted Bundy started in pornography when he was 13. That I think either his father or somebody gave to him. No, that might be right. I think he may have gotten it out of a garbage can in a alley or something. But he started with pornography.
Yeah.
But this young woman, I've seen her on tape where she said, just glowing, you know, this was before the decision to come back. Whatever decision they make, it doesn't matter to me. I know where I'm going. I know I've been washed in the blood, and I know without a shadow of doubt when I die, I will step into heaven. And just glowing. Oh, and there are people that will say, man, they don't deserve that.
Right.
Really? I don't either.
No,
I
that's the
don't either.
problem. There we go. Right there, Judy. We've talked about that in the past. It's like we get saved and then forget we were sinners.
Yeah.
Whew, we always got to remember that. I mean, I would have trouble remembering it too much because I'm bad.
We all have our little pitfalls.
Yeah. No, I'm there. I can't. I don't know. I probably should do more.
See, they made a book out of, I've seen that book in the jail. They made
Mm.
a book of that woman's life and her conversion and everything. And the women would read that book and just tell me about it.
What prison was she in?
It was in Texas. That's all I can tell you. Can see her face, but I can't
Uh, Carla Faye Tucker.
remember.
That's her.
Yep.
There you go.
Unbelievable.
So that'd be something people could look
Unbelievable.
up and watch.
Some of the Manson, some
She
of the
was
Manson
executed in
people.
1998.
Yep. I'll live that one.
Whoa, the first woman to be executed in Texas since 1863 and the first in the United
Wow.
States since 1984.
Oh, it's a very brutal murder. I'm sure she was probably on drugs. Very brutal, brutal. Some of the Manson family have been saying that's true.
Well, the troubadour takes our horrible songs and redeems them,
He does.
makes them into a beautiful melody. And it's an ongoing writing. It's just the music's just never finished being written, if you want to, you know, go on that metaphor. It's just constantly the tune changes, the tempo changes, content changes. Yeah, he's just constantly writing. That's the thing, is there is absolutely no arrival in our faith. There is a progressive journey of faith.
Mm.
into knowing God and knowing, because as you experience and know God, then you go to the Word. You see Him differently. It even changes how you look at the Word, and it's just, you know, there. It's not all black and white like we'd like to make it. You know, we want everything all, you know, wrapped up in a bow. It's a very messy life. The walk of faith is very messy.
It is.
Yeah, it includes times of deep questioning, dark night of the soul type thing, anger, frustration, entitlement,
Hurt.
hurt, confusion. Man, I was just listening to a podcast today of a woman. This is on Kate Polar's podcast. If anybody's interested, it's on Kate Polar's podcast. Her podcast is called Everything Happens.
What? It's called what now?
Everything happens. You know how we always say everything happens
Everything happens. Okay.
for a reason. She's
Yeah.
scratched out for a reason. Just everything happens.
Everything happens. Okay.
But this woman she was talking with lost her 13-year-old daughter. She was abducted, and they didn't find her till 7 weeks later. And they've had to live with this grief for so many years. She was talking to her about how she walked through it and walked through forgiveness and all these stages, but it's messy. These are the things we think as believers we're supposed to be exempt from, but that's not what Peter says. Right? We're not exempt.
Mhm.
It's fun to talk about truth, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
And in this chapter, they're just so clinging to their ways and their understanding. They're
Right.
clinging to it. This is the right way. This is the way. We
They
have
even
to
call
stick
him
with
a
our-
liar.
Right.
Call
We have
him
to
a liar.
stay with our
Because he-
traditions.
Yeah.
That sunk them. That sunk them. They missed what was right in front of their face because they were so married to. And that's what we have to stay. We have to stay loosely connected to our convictions because they are subject to change as we grow and mature in Christ. And He will let you stay in a system that's erroneous. He will let you stay in there until He's ready to move you out into a greater enlightenment of Himself, which puzzles me. But He does.
That's the reason he's God and we're not. Because there's a lot of
What-
stuff I don't know the
Like we've
answer
already
to.
established, if you and I were, everybody would be sightless and toothless. So that's exactly why He didn't put us.
That's one of the funniest things that kind of wrote.
Yes.
It leads to a sightless and toothless world.
All right. So I guess that's a good place for us to wrap up today. I think we have 2 good recordings to post. And thank you
Okay.
for those who watch. Give Miss Judy a shout out and let her know that you appreciate this introduction to this book and her time to read it. And it's just going to be sitting on YouTube until the second coming. So